What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Alex Pereira reveals the truth on UFC 300. Light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira recently set the MMA community ablaze with a mysterious Instagram post that seemed to indicate his desire to compete at UFC 300. The Glory Kickboxing Hall of Famer wrote 30 plus 300 equals 3, which led many to believe that Pereira would not only be competing at UFC 300, but that he would also be moving up to heavyweight in pursuit of UFC history. The situation took another turn when interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall posted a photo of the two sitting side by side. However, from the sounds of things, fans are mistaken in thinking that the post had anything to do with UFC 300 or Poatan moving up to heavyweight. During a recent interview with the Mac Life, Pereira spoke through a translator about the post.
Actually, he had a dream with the 30 plus 200 equal to 3, and he got confused. You know what I mean, on all those numbers. So he tossed it over there, see if people can help him to figure out the equation. Like the other day, he had a dream about some numbers. He played a raffle in Brazil, won a motorcycle. Then 2 months later, this is actually real. He had another one and like put some numbers more, won another motorcycle. So like, you know what? This is for the fans to help me out to figure it out, because you know what I mean. He had 30 plus 300 equal to 3. We all tried to figure it out too.
When asked about the theory that he could be moving up to heavyweight for UFC 300, Poatan indicated that the talk of a move up is simply the imagination of fans. Next up, let's take a look at Dana White breaks silence on Conor McGregor's situation. After Conor McGregor recently expressed his frustrations with the UFC and indicated that his patience is wearing thin, UFC CEO Dana White shared a big update on the Irish star's potential return. While speaking to fans on Instagram Live, White revealed that he and McGregor are both in the United Arab Emirates, and the pair met earlier in the day in an effort to figure out a date for the former champ's return.
Talked to Conor today. I'm in Abu Dhabi right now. Conor's in Dubai. We talked tonight. He and I'll get something figured out soon. We're talking.
Fans were also quick to ask White about potential updates to the UFC 300 card. However, from the sounds of things, he has no further fights to announce just yet. Despite that, fans continued to prod him for news regarding the historic card, with the UFC CEO notably stating that he and the promotion are still working on the main event. The expectation among fans, of course, is that McGregor winds up competing on the card given the lack of available stars. However, so far, the UFC brass has been playing their cards close to the vest in regards to the massive pay-per-view event. Michael Chandler sends a message to Conor McGregor about their upcoming fight. Chandler thinks that Conor is avoiding him, writing on Twitter saying, "I heard there was a meeting in Abu Dhabi or Dubai tonight. Hopefully Dana can convince Conor McGregor to be a man of his word, but we all make claims we can't back up at times. It's human nature. I don't fault him for it." He followed up by saying, "Imagine saying it, the greatest comeback in combat sports history, and then doing a whole sham of a documentary about it, and then never coming back. McGregor forgotten." Next up, let's take a look at Islam Makhachev sends warning to UFC roster. In the wake of Islam Makhachev's victory over Alexander Volkanovski, there's been quite a bit of speculation as to who the lightweight champion will defend his title against next. After the stunning knockout, UFC CEO Dana White indicated during the post-fight press conference that Charles Oliveira was likely next for the champ, given that he was forced out of the bout at the last minute. Since then, however, Makhachev has indicated that he would prefer to fight a new opponent, like Justin Gaethje, rather than competing in another rematch. In a post on social media this week, Makhachev gave an update on when he would like to return to the octagon, writing, "I'll be ready to smash someone in March, or see you after Ramadan." Ramadan in 2024 is set to run from the evening of Sunday, March 10th through to Tuesday, April 9th. While the UFC 299 pay-per-view is scheduled for March 9th, Sugar Sean O'Malley is set to headline the event, and from the sounds of things, the promotion doesn't plan to have him co-headline. Given that, the most likely date for Makhachev to fight if the UFC wants him to compete before Ramadan would be the UFC Fight Night Saudi Arabia card on March 2nd. The big question is, who will the UFC book him to fight? Now, let's shift gears and take a look at Colby Covington goes off on Garry. Colby Covington has gone on quite the media tour since losing a lopsided decision to Leon Edwards at UFC 296. Despite the disappointing performance, which saw Covington struggle to utilize his signature pressure style of fighting, the former interim champ is undeterred in his quest to capture UFC gold. After calling out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at the post-fight press conference immediately following the loss, Covington has now set his sights on another welterweight, undefeated contender Garry. During an appearance on the Tucker Carlson Encounter, Covington took aim at the Irish star.
I'm not excited. He was pretty angry.
He was.
Yeah, I think he probably wants to settle the differences in the octagon, and just so happens I like to fight in the octagon. So if it needs to happen one day, I'd be honored to settle that. Nah, it's not even someone I'm scheduled to fight. It's just someone that's been talking smack in the media, been throwing, you know, some terms around at me, and you know, never done anything or accomplished half of what I've accomplished in this sport. So
Covington wasn't the only one to take aim at Ian Garry this week. Fan favorite Kevin Holland also took aim at the undefeated contender in a video for social media, where he was seen wearing a shirt with Garry's face on it that also read, "Wagged." Garry, of course, is currently booked to fight Jeff Neal in the new year. However, if he manages to emerge from the fight victorious, it sounds as though there's a number of other contenders eager to compete against him next. Next, let's take a look at Daniel Cormier talks UFC plans for Khamzat next fight. Recently, former UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya indicated in an interview that he was planning to return to the octagon sooner rather than later, squashing any potential talk of a hiatus until 2027. Shortly after, undefeated contender Khamzat Chimaev posted a pair of photos on Instagram alongside a shush emoji, with one photo showing Adesanya. The timing of the post naturally ignited talk of a potential fight between the two. However, the way Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier sees things, the UFC should wait to book a fight between Adesanya and Chimaev, given that if the last stylebender loses, a fight with the winner or loser of the upcoming Strickland vs. du Plessis fight becomes less intriguing. He spoke in a video for his YouTube channel.
Du Plessis wins, title fight for Adesanya versus Drakus, build that whole thing. Du Plessis loses, fight versus Adesanya, build that whole thing. You save that matchup regardless, because if you put him in there with Khamzat, it's a great fight, but if Khamzat gets through him, now you might lose that fight with du Plessis. But if you're the UFC, I say you save that fight.
So far, there's been no word on who Chimaev will fight when he returns to the octagon, following his victory over Kamaru Usman. Although the undefeated contender has made it clear that he plans to fight the winner of the Strickland vs. du Plessis UFC 297 headliner, given Dana White's pre-fight comments, the UFC has yet to confirm the matchup. Next, let's take a look at Paulo Costa was the most tested fighter in 2023. With just days left to go until the UFC's partnership with USADA ends, it appears as though middleweight Paulo Costa will end the year as the most tested fighter on the roster. Per USADA's website, which features detailed testing history for fighters, the former title challenger was tested a whopping 36 times over the course of the year, with flyweight Charles Johnson being the second most tested fighter with 33 tests. Costa, of course, did not compete in 2023, with the UFC 284 clash with Robert Whittaker falling through due to contractual negotiations, and a UFC 294 fight with Khamzat Chimaev falling through as a result of a staph infection. Now, sitting in third place on the list of the most tested fighters in 2023 is none other than heavyweight champion Jon Jones, who notably has a long and complicated history with the testing agency. In fourth place is undefeated contender Sharabuddin Magomedov, who remarkably was tested 25 times, despite only making his UFC debut in October. In fifth place, women's strawweight fighter Ariane Carnelossi logged 23 tests, followed just behind by light heavyweight Magomed Ankalaev with 22 tests, and Marlon Chito Vera and Jessica Andrade with 21 tests each. In ninth place, former welterweight kingpin Kamaru Usman logged 20 tests, while women's strawweight contender Yang Xiaonan rounded out the top 10 by logging 17 tests during the year. With the UFC's partnership with USADA set to end in the new year, it'll be interesting to see how fighters are tested going forward in the new era of testing under Drug Free Sport International. Next, let's take a look at MMA community goes off on Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland has long been a vocal advocate for firearm owners' rights. However, after a trip to one firearm-free zone, the middleweight champion admitted via social media that he feels as though there's one place that nobody needs to be carrying a firearm: the post office. He wrote, "I'm at the post office and I generally don't agree with free zones, but I don't think anyone needs to be armed here, including me." Fans were quick to react to the post, with many taking aim at the middleweight champ, as one fan wrote, "Are you going soft?" UFC vet Ramsey Nijem referenced a recent picture of Strickland that has gone viral, where the champion is posed in front of a Tesla, writing, "What next? Going to tell us all to get electric cars and eat bugs?" Another responded, writing, "If you could guarantee me an armed person won't run in there and shoot me up, then yes. Can you? Then no." Others took aim at Strickland in a much more direct way, with one fan writing, "That belt is making you woke, Sean, LOL," and another adding, "Sponsored by Bud Light, beers for..." taking one zone at a time. Another fan referenced the recent trash talk between Strickland and his upcoming opponent Dricus du Plessis, writing, "Dricus really did get to your head if you're going this soft." So far, the champ, who's usually quick to respond and engage with fans on social media, has yet to defend his position by responding to any of the comments. Alex Pereira reveals horrible news after he and his wife deleted all of the pictures of themselves together and unfollowed each other, making fans speculate that they broke up. Then Alex posted a video of himself shadowboxing at the top of a mountain. The MMA community reacted to this by saying, "Bro is evolving into his next form. This is the way." Is this the second wife or the first one? I remembered he and his son's mother were separated or divorced, and then he got with the lady that was shielding one of his son's face in the second Izzy fight. I've heard some rumors that she broke up with him to make a move on Brendan Shaw, but she doesn't stand a chance there. He's a committed family man. Damn, Izzy broke Alex so bad he breaking their family apart. There's not even a single straight punch on this striking menu, lol. They're all awkward. Alex Pereira probably heard a rumor that Izzy broke up from his girlfriend and said, well, top comments. Conor is coked out of his mind. Just look at that dude. Conor's contract with the UFC was 9 fights for $25 million. Floyd's contract with Showtime was 6 fights for $200 million, and he actually made $500 million. With comparable pay-per-view numbers, the UFC is not losing money. Their investors are raking in all the money. LMAO, the Nina story is such a goofy thing to be upset about. MMA community is hella soft for such a crazy sport. Edit, not all MMA fans, just the sensitive ones. Stipe has paid his dues. It's like these fair weather fans don't know or remember just how dominant Stipe was. They don't consider him the greatest heavyweight of all time for nothing. Losing money, maybe Sean does need a manager. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.